The sun was setting on the dead planet. Dust blew across the cracked ground. Jace moved carefully between broken rocks and metal bones. He was alone, with only his old scanner and a blaster on his belt. This place had once been a city. Now it was just silence. No life, no sound, just ruins. But something strange had drawn him here. A signal, weak but constant, not natural, not a machine's echo. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Jace followed it into a deep hole. A building half buried under the ground. The air was heavy. The walls were marked with symbols he couldn't read. He turned on his torch. The beam of light showed old wires, rusted machines, and shattered glass. And then he heard something. It wasn't metal creaking. It wasn't the wind. It was breathing. Slow, soft, scared breathing. Jace turned a corner and froze. Behind a thick glass panel, cracked and dirty, was a small alien girl. She was sitting in the dark, knees to her chest, arms wrapped around herself. She didn't move when the light hit her face. Her eyes, large and glowing, stared at him. They weren't angry. They were empty. Her skin was light blue, almost silver. Her hair was long and tangled. Falling over her shoulders, chains were wrapped around her ankles and wrists, old, tight, and cutting into her skin. Jace stepped forward. She flinched, but didn't make a sound. He put his hand on the glass. She stared at it, then slowly moved her hand too. She touched the same spot. Their fingers met through the glass. He whispered, "Who did this to you?" She didn't answer. Maybe she couldn't speak. Or maybe she didn't believe he was real. Jace searched the room. He found a broken console beside the door. He pulled out his toolkit and worked quickly. Wires sparked, dust fell from the ceiling. Then, click. The door opened with a heavy groan. The smell inside was sharp like metal and sickness. Jace stepped in slowly. He knelt beside her and reached for the chains. She watched him, body trembling. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." It took him 10 minutes to cut the chains. They had strange locks, alien, ancient. But when the last shackle fell, the girl collapsed into his arms. She was light, far too light, starved, weak, and cold. He wrapped her in his jacket and carried her out of the chamber. As they walked through the ruined halls, she didn't say a word. She just held on to him, like she didn't want to be left behind ever again. Outside, the sky was dark. Jace placed her gently beside a rock and gave her a water pouch. She took it slowly, like she wasn't sure if it was real, then drank it all in silence. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She looked at him for a long time, then shook her head. He sighed. "Well, I guess I'll call you Nova. It means new." Nova blinked, then gave him the smallest nod. They camped under a broken wall that night. Jace lit a small fire using his gear. Nova sat close, her eyes never leaving his face. "You're safe now," he said. But inside, he wasn't sure. Someone had locked her away for a long time. Why? And more importantly, would they come back for her? As Jace looked up at the stars, he made a silent promise. Whatever she was, whoever she had been before, she was free now, and no one was going to take her away again. But he didn't know that deep beneath the ruins, a silent beacon had started blinking again. The prison was open, the subject was loose, and far away, someone was watching. Morning came slow and quiet. The wind blew gently through the broken trees. Jace woke up first, his back sore from the stone ground. He blinked the sleep out of his eyes and looked to his right. Nova was still there, wrapped in his jacket, arms around her knees. Her eyes were open. She hadn't slept, not even a little. "Did you rest at all?" Jace asked softly. She didn't answer, but she didn't look away either. She looked like a shadow of someone who used to live, thin, hollow, and scared. But under all that fear, something inside her burned. Not rage, not hate, Just survival. Jace stood and stretched. We should move, he said. This place isn't safe. He gathered his pack, tied the loose straps. He expected her to stay sitting, but when he started walking, he heard small footsteps behind him. He turned. Nova was following. She didn't speak, didn't ask where they were going. She just walked behind him, always 3 steps behind, always watching, never touching, but never letting him out of her sight. It made Jace uneasy, not because he didn't trust her, but because he knew what fear looked like, and hers ran deep, too deep. For words, they walked through the dead forest, burned stumps, black soil, and cracked bones of long-dead creatures. No birds, no insects, just silence. Jace finally stopped at a half-broken tower. This used to be a scout station, he said. Might still have power. Nova said nothing, but her eyes flicked up at the building. She tilted her head slightly, like she remembered it, or maybe feared it. Inside, the station was a mess. Broken monitors, shattered lights, vines through the walls. But the backup generator was still in place. Jace dropped his pack and started working. He didn't see her walk over to a ruined terminal. He didn't see her place her hand on the screen, but he heard it, a soft hum. A light flickering to life. He turned around, shocked. The screen was glowing blue. Static faded into symbols. Alien code? Alive again. Nova stepped back quickly. Like she had done something wrong, her hands trembled. I didn't mean to, she whispered. Jace stared at the terminal. You did that. She nodded. Once her voice was so quiet, it almost broke. Sometimes. Machines, listen to me. Jace didn't know what to say. He walked over and looked at the data. The terminal had logs. Old ones. Names. Times. Dates. And one name flashed red. Subject 9. Containment BREACHE. He turned to Nova slowly. You're Subject 9. She lowered her head. I don't like that name. They gave it to me before the cage. Jace sat down beside her. I'm not going to hurt you, he said. I don't care what they called you. I care about who you are now. Nova's eyes shimmered. No tears, but close. No one had ever said that to her before. They stayed in the station until sunset. Jace managed to find some food rations. Nova didn't eat much, but she sat near him as he ate, watching him like he was something rare. When they moved again, she followed. Same quiet steps, same distance. At one point, Jace paused by a small stream. He bent down to fill his bottle. He turned. Nova was right behind him, watching the water. You can sit, he offered. Nova shook her head. I don't sit when others are awake. It's not safe. Jace frowned. Not safe from what? She looked at the sky, then whispered, they always come back. He didn't ask who they were, not yet. He just stood and said, they won't come while I'm with you. She didn't believe him, not fully, but for the first time, she smiled just a little. It was more like a twitch of the lips, but it was real. That night, they camped in an old trench. The stars above were sharp and cold. Nova curled beside the fire. Closer now, still quiet, still scared, but not alone, and far away. Beyond the hills and dead forests, a signal beeped. A small black ship turned toward the planet. Inside it, cold eyes watched glowing screens. Subject 9 has moved. Unknown human contact detected. Tracking now. The hunt had begun, but Nova didn't know. Jace didn't know. All they knew was one thing. They had each other, and that had to be enough. The morning was cold. Mist curled through the old trees like fingers. Jace stirred from sleep, his hand already on his blaster, but nothing moved. Only the quiet hum of insects and the soft sound of breathing beside him. Nova was awake again. She never seemed to sleep. She sat cross-legged near the dead fire. Drawing something in the dirt with a stick, Jace rubbed his eyes, then looked closer. It wasn't just a random doodle. It was a map. A map of the area, accurate, detailed, but twisted with lines he didn't recognize. "What's that?" he asked, sitting beside her. Nova didn't look up. "It's where we are," she said. "And where we're not supposed to go?" Jace frowned. "Not supposed to go?" She pointed at a spot in the far right corner of the map, a circle. "With jagged marks around it. They said it was off limits," she whispered, "before I was locked away." Jace leaned in. "You remember this place?" She nodded slowly. "Not all of it, only pieces." She touched the circle. "It hums at night." She said, "Even now, I can hear it." Jace didn't hear anything, just wind and birds and trees. But he trusted her. Nova stood up and wiped away the drawing with her foot. "We shouldn't stay here," she said. "They'll find us." Jace didn't ask who they were. She said it like she expected them to appear at any moment. Like shadows, like ghosts. As they moved through the forest, Nova stopped often. She would stare at old stones, or put her hand on broken metal. Once, she pressed her fingers to the bark of a dying tree. It glowed faintly, then bloomed. New leaves. Growing in seconds, Jace just stared. "How did you do that?" Nova shook her head. "I didn't," she whispered. "It just listened." Later that day, they found an old satellite pod crashed into the mud. Jace wanted to leave it, but Nova stepped closer. She stared at it for a long time, then placed her palm on its cold surface. The screen flickered, then powered on. Lines of alien code rolled across the monitor. Then it switched to English. "Greater than welcome back. Subject 9, greater than awaiting primary link." Just stepped forward. "Heart racing, Nova," he said. "This thing knows you." She stepped back, her face pale. "I didn't mean to," she said quickly. "I don't want to go back." "You're not going back," Jace said firmly. But the screen kept changing. "Greater than DNA sync confirmed. Greater than activating beacon, no, no, no." Jace muttered. He pulled out a tool and ripped the battery from the side. The screen died, but the signal. It had already been sent. Nova was shaking. "They'll come now," she said. "They always do when I touch their machines." Jace placed his hands on her shoulders. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said. "You're not a weapon. You're just a girl who was trapped." She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, tears fell. "I don't want to hurt anyone," she whispered. "I just want to stay with you." He held her tight. "You will," he promised. "No one's taking you that night." They took shelter in a stone ruin near a cliff edge. Nova sat by the fire again, quieter than usual. Jace tried not to show it, but his hands trembled as he cleaned his weapon. "They'll come," she repeated softly. "I know," he replied. "But I'll be ready." Nova looked at him. "There's something else I remember." She pulled the pendant from her pocket, the one he found on her when he freed her. She handed it to him. Inside was a tiny shard of crystal, glowing with a soft purple light. "I wasn't the only one," she said. "There were others like me, but they didn't survive." Jace stared at the crystal. It pulsed once like a heartbeat, then stopped. He closed his fingers around it. "I'll keep it safe," he said. "Just like I'll keep you safe." High above the planet, in the silence of space, a black ship changed direction. Its scanners locked onto the beacon that had flashed from the surface. Inside, a voice spoke calmly. "Subject located. Prepare for retrieval." Back on the ground, Nova curled beside the fire. Jace sat beside her, blaster in his lap, watching the stars. The girl beside him wasn't human. She wasn't ordinary, but she had chosen to trust him, and he would fight the whole galaxy if that's what it took to keep her free. The next morning came with no sunlight. Dark clouds covered the sky. Thunder rumbled softly in the distance. It felt like a warning. Jace packed quickly. He didn't say much. He didn't have to. Nova could feel it too. Something was coming. They moved through the trees, quiet, careful. Nova walked close this time, not behind, not watching beside him. "Where are we going?" she asked finally. Jace pointed ahead. "There's an old supply post near the ridge." He said, "If we're lucky, it still works." Nova glanced up at the sky. "No one's lucky forever," she whispered. They reached the edge of the forest by noon. The land dipped sharply. A narrow metal path led to an old outpost half buried. Tilted to one side, Jace pulled out his scanner. No movement, no signals, just silence. But Nova stopped walking. Her eyes narrowed, her fingers clenched. "They're here," she said. Jace looked around, confused. "I'm not picking up anything." Nova shook her head. "They don't show. Up on your scanner, they made me. I know how they hide." Jace tightened his grip on his blaster. "How close?" Nova closed her eyes. "They're watching," she whispered. "They're already watching." Suddenly, a loud boom echoed through the sky. Something dropped from the clouds fast and sharp. A black ship with no lights. It landed behind them, silent as a shadow. Jace grabbed Nova's hand. "Run." He shouted. She didn't hesitate. They ran through the trees, dirt flying under their feet. The ship opened, black armored figures stepped out. No faces, no voices, just movement, clean, fast, and cold. A voice crackled through Jace's cum. "Link," one he didn't recognize. "You are in possession of classified property. Release Subject 9, and you will not be harmed." Nova's grip tightened around his hand. "I'm not property," she growled. "I'm not going back." Jace pulled her behind a fallen tree. He aimed and fired. One soldier dropped, his armor sparking, but two more replaced him. They didn't speak. They just advanced. Nova knelt beside Jace, her hands glowing faintly. "I can stop them," she whispered. "But it hurts." "No," Jace said. "Not unless you have to. I'll buy us time." He stood and ran sideways, drawing fire. Bullets hit the trees beside him. Nova closed her eyes and breathed deeply. The air around her shimmered, leaves shook, stones floated. Then she raised her hand and whispered something in her language. The earth cracked beneath the soldiers' feet. Roots shot up and wrapped around their legs. Metal groaned. Suits sparked. Jace returned to her side, panting. "You did it." Nova's eyes were glowing, but her voice was weak. "I can't do it again. Not soon." They didn't wait. They ran toward the outpost. Jace blasted the rusted door open. Inside, it smelled like dust and oil. They found an old control room. Jace powered up the systems using his portable cell. Screens flickered. One of them showed the forest behind them and the black ship rising again. "They're not giving up," he said. Nova leaned against the wall. "They can't. I'm worth too much to them." Jace turned to her. "Why? What are you really?" Nova looked at her hands. "I was born in a lab," she said. "Not like a normal child. They said I could talk to machines. Fix things without tools, but they didn't expect me to feel things." Two, she looked up at him. "I cried when the others died, so they locked me away." Jace stepped forward. "You're not a machine, you're not a tool, you're a person." She took a shaky breath. "I only believe that. When I'm with you." Outside, the ship circled again, but this time it didn't land. It dropped something small, a sphere that beeped once, then exploded into a wave of energy. The outpost shook. Lights went out. The backup power died. Jace grabbed Nova's hand again. "We've got to move. They'll blast this place next." Nova hesitated, then nodded. "I won't slow you down. You're not slowing me." Jace said, "You're the reason I'm still running." They escaped through a side tunnel. Stone walls shook around them. Behind them, the outpost exploded in flames. But they didn't stop running, because now Jace knew the truth. Nova wasn't just running from her past. She was being hunted for what she was, and he had already made His choice, he would protect her, even if it meant facing the whole galaxy alone. The rain came fast. Cold drops fell from the sky as thunder rolled overhead. Jace and Nova ran through thick jungle, boots slipping on wet roots. Behind them, the black ship circled again. Lower, louder, closer. They had escaped the burning outpost. But not the hunters. Not the ones who called her Subject 9. Not the ones who wanted to put her back in a cage. Nova tripped, her knees hitting the ground. Jace spun around and lifted her up. "Come on," he said. "We're not stopping now." "I can't," she whispered. "I'm tired. I'm burning inside." Jace looked at her. Her eyes were glowing again, but her face was pale. Sweat dripped down her forehead. "You said you could talk to machines," Jace said. "Can you shut theirs down?" Nova shook her head. "Not while they're in the air. They're protected." The sound of engines grew louder. A searchlight swept across the trees. They were out of time. Jace pulled Nova behind a large fallen tree. He raised his blaster. Heart pounding, he wasn't sure he could fight them all, but he would try. Nova leaned against the tree, breathing hard. "I can feel them," she said. "They're looking through the machines. They see me even when I'm hidden." "Then blind them," Jace said. "Do something. Anything." Nova closed her eyes. Her hands trembled. Then she whispered a word in her old language. The light around her fingers changed blue to white. Sparks danced between her palms. Then the air around her began to hum, low and deep. Like the ground itself was holding its breath, Jace took a step back. He'd seen strange things on other worlds, but never this. Nova's body lifted an inch off the ground. Her hair floated upward. The rain stopped falling near her, pushed away by something invisible above. The ship faltered. Its engines made a strange choking sound. Lights flickered inside the ship. Alarms blared. Energy surge detected. One voice said, "She's awakening," said another. "She wasn't supposed to be this strong." On the ground, Nova opened her eyes. They were bright silver now. She raised her hand and pointed at the ship. Then she screamed loud and sharp. A wave of energy burst from her chest. Trees bent, birds scattered. The black ship spun sideways. One engine bursting into flames, it crashed into the trees behind them. Metal and fire ripping through the forest. The ground shook as the explosion echoed into the hills. Then, silence, heavy and full. Nova dropped to her knees. The light around her faded. Her hands went limp. She looked up at Jace with tears in her eyes. "I didn't want to," she said. "I didn't mean to destroy it." Jace rushed to her side. He caught her before she could fall over. "You did what you had to do," he said. "They were going to take you." "But I feel it now," she whispered. "Something growing inside me, like a storm." Jace didn't know what to say. He could feel it too. Something had changed in her, and it wasn't just power. It was something older, something buried. And now it had woken up. He looked toward the burning wreck. Smoke rose into the sky. But he knew it wouldn't be the end. "They'll send more," he said. "Won't they?" Nova nodded slowly. "They never stop. But next time," she added, "I won't be afraid." Jace helped her to her feet. "We'll head to the old tower," he said. "There's a relay there. Maybe I can send a message to someone." "I trust." She held his arm tightly. "I trust you," she said. "I don't care about the rest." As they walked through the forest, Nova looked at her hands. "I never asked to be this," she said. "I just wanted to be free." Jace looked at her. "You are free now," he said. "But freedom doesn't mean the fight is over." She smiled, weak but real. "Then I'll fight," she said. "If I have to. I'll fight." And above them, in orbit, another signal lit up. A larger ship, deep and quiet, received the emergency call. A cold voice echoed in the command deck. "She's not broken. She's evolved. Send the collector. Bring her back, alive or not." They didn't stop running, not after the ship crashed, not after Nova's powers exploded. And definitely not after the sky lit up with another incoming threat. Jace knew what was coming next. Bigger ships, stronger weapons, smarter hunters. They wouldn't make the same mistake again. Nova walked beside him, barefoot and quiet. Her silver eyes still glowed softly, but she was pale. Each step looked heavier than the last. "We need rest," Jace said. "We can't keep pushing like this." Nova shook her head. "No," she whispered. "If I rest, they catch us. If they catch us, you die." Her voice cracked on the last word. She tried to hide it. But Jace saw the fear behind her strength. She wasn't just running to survive. She was running for him too. They climbed a rocky ridge. Below them stretched a wide desert torrent. Sand and dark stone. Somewhere in the center stood a tall black tower. One Jace had only heard about in rumors. "That's the spire," he said. "An old Cumry lay. If we reach it, I might be able to contact someone you trust." She asked. Jace nodded. "An old friend from Earth's defense fleet. She owes me a favor." Nova glanced at the sky. Clouds moved unnaturally fast. She clenched her jaw. "They're already near," she said. "I can feel them. Like eyes on my back." They descended the ridge carefully. The wind blew harder. Dust filled the air. And above them, hidden behind the clouds, another black ship waited. But this one was different. It didn't drop soldiers. It didn't send messages. It only watched. Inside that ship sat a creature not fully human, not fully machine either. It was called the Collector. And it had only one mission: retrieve Nova, dead or alive, as Jace and Nova reached the desert floor. The ground vibrated slightly. Nova stumbled, placing a hand on the sand. "What is it?" Jace asked. She whispered. "They're tapping into the planet now. They're using old systems to find me." Jace helped her up and wrapped his arm around her shoulder. "Then we move faster," he said. "Even if we have to crawl." They moved for hours, sand in their boots, wind in their faces. Nova coughed once. Then twice blood at her lip. "You're pushing too hard," Jace said. Nova didn't respond, but she didn't stop either. When the tower was finally close only a mile away, the sky screamed. A beam of dark light slammed into the desert beside them. Sand exploded upward. A crater opened where the beam hit. Jace covered Nova as dust rained down. He looked up, and there it was. The Collector's ship. It didn't blink, didn't hum. It floated like death in the air. A voice rang out from it, cold and emotionless. Subject 9. This is your only warning. You are not alive. You are not free. Return now or be deleted. Jace raised his blaster. Nova stood behind him. But her hands were shaking. Her glow had dimmed. "She's not going anywhere." Jace shouted, "You want her? You'll have to go through me." The voice replied, "Accepted." A black drone shot from the ship, silent and sharp. It raced toward them faster than any machine Jace had seen. He fired once, twice, missed, then Nova stepped forward. She screamed, but no energy came out. Her power gone, drained. The drone hit the ground. Preparing to fire, Nova closed her eyes. And in that final second, something ancient woke up inside her again. Not fear, not rage, but something deeper will. The sand around her lifted, formed a shield. The drone fired. The blast hit the sand wall and bounced, exploding against a rock. Jace blinked in disbelief. "You're doing this?" Nova looked shocked. "I don't know how." She fell to her knees, exhausted. Jace picked her up in his arms. "We're going to that tower," he said. Right now, he ran the last mile. Nova's head resting on his chest. The tower. Doors were old but unlocked. Inside, wires sparked and systems flickered. Jace dropped Nova gently on a bench. He opened the main console and connected his beacon. "Please," he whispered. "Please still be out there." A moment later, a voice. came through the speaker, Jace. It was her, Captain Ilara Reyes, his old commander. He almost cried hearing her voice. "I need pickup," he said. "I have something the galaxy wants." "She's not a weapon," he added quickly. "She's a person." Reyes replied, "Coordinates." "Locked." "I'm on my way outside." The collector's ship circled again. It didn't leave, it only waited, and inside the tower. Nova opened her eyes and whispered, "I think I broke something in me." Jace took her hand. "Then we'll fix it together." The tower shook from another blast. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The collector's ship had begun its final attack. It wanted Nova back. But Jace stood between her and the door, blaster raised, eyes fierce. Nova sat behind him on the floor. Weak, breathing hard, her hands still glowing faintly. She had pushed her power too far, but something inside her refused to let go. She had run for so long. From the ones who built her, from the pain, from the memories. But now she looked at Jace. The human who had found her in a cage, the man who gave her food, warmth, and kindness without asking anything back. And her heart said one thing: "I won't run anymore." Jace fired at the incoming drones. The tower's shields were failing. The door buckled from the pressure. Nova forced herself to stand. Her legs trembled, but she moved forward. "Jace," she said softly. He turned quickly. "You need to stay back." He said, "They'll kill you." Nova shook her head. "No." She whispered, "I'm not hiding behind you anymore." She walked up beside him. Her hand slid into his. Even now, her fingers were cold, but her eyes? "We're strong. This is my choice now," she said. "Not theirs." The unit crackled again. Ilara's voice broke through. "Jace, I'm 2 minutes out. Hold tight." 2 minutes, it felt like forever. Outside, the collector's ship opened a hatch. A dark, metallic figure dropped from the sky, humanoid, but taller, heavier, glowing with red energy. The collector itself, it stepped through the broken tower door. Each footstep cracked the floor. It had no face, just a smooth metal mask. Its voice was deep, without emotion. "Subject 9, it said. "Your time as an experiment is complete. Return or be terminated." Nova stepped forward. She didn't shake this time. Her voice didn't break. "I'm not Subject 9, she said. "My name is Nova." The collector paused. It scanned her from head to toe. "You are malfunctioning." It said, "You have formed bonds, emotions, delusions." "No," Jace said, stepping beside her. "She's found a family, something you'll never understand." The collector raised its hand. A beam of red light formed in its palm, but before it could fire, Nova raised both arms and screamed. A burst of silver light shot out from her chest. It filled the tower, it shook the walls, it blinded the collector. The machine staggered back. Its mask cracked, wires sparked from its joints. Nova fell to her knees again, blood at the corner of her lips, but she smiled. "I'm not a weapon," she said. "I'm a person." Jace rushed to her side, held her as alarms blared. "You did it," he whispered. "You really did it." Above them, Ilar's ship broke through the clouds. A sleek silver cruiser with Earth symbol on the wings. It fired a beam that crushed the remaining drones, then landed with a hiss of steam. Soldiers in blue armor rushed out, but Jace raised his hand. "Hold fire," he said. "She's not a threat." Ilara stepped out last. She stared at Nova for a long time. Then nodded. "She's with you?" she asked. Jace nodded. "She's mine." Ilara smiled. "Then let's bring her home." They carried Nova into the ship. Jace never left her side, even as the medics worked. Even as the doors closed behind them, from the ship's window, Nova looked out at the burning tower, the planet that had once been her prison, now left behind. Jace leaned close. "You okay?" Nova reached out and touched his hand. For the first time, she whispered, "I feel like I belong." He smiled. You're not alone anymore. Not ever again. As the ship flew into the stars, Nova rested her head on his shoulder. Eyes finally closing, safe, free, home. And though many would come looking again, though dangers still waited in the dark corners of space, one thing would never change. She had chosen him, and he had chosen her, always.